Welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. I hope you're in for a great show today because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront Sitrep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a Monday edition of Homefront Sitrep. Hope everybody had a great weekend and your Monday was not too terrible. I know for me, today was, it started off wonky this morning. So, yeah, Bill, this is Bill. He's a Marine Corps veteran. I work with him at my day job, playing in the dirt all day long. He thinks he might be a comedian some days. Some days. But he is starting a podcast that I'm going to produce with him. It's called the Distorted Static Show. It focuses on local bands from the Kentucky area, and then it's also going to branch out and focus on bands from across the country. So if you're a musician or you're in a band, I guess if you're a musician, you'd be in a band. But if you play music, if you're into music, reach out to Bill at the distorted static show at gmail.com and he'll get back in touch with you to get scheduled on the roster to get on the channel there to, record an episode and stuff. So, but anyway, Bill, how was your weekend? How was your Monday today?
Weekend was good. Had a little road trip, had a good time. Woke up a half hour late.
Nice.
I almost didn't get to work on time this morning.
Nice,
So,
nice.
but,
Yeah, I was there early, and then I had to go to the VA this morning, which was always fun. Anytime you go to the VA hospital, if you're a veteran, it's going to be painstaking. So today I went. I had blood work drawn on Friday, so I had to go back for my follow up today, and went in, seen the doc, and she gave me some news that wasn't great, wasn't bad. So I'm still working through those issues. But yeah, other than that, it wasn't too bad. Weekend was great. And then, we got some good news. I'm heading out of town hopefully soon. And we're going to go visit some friends out in the great state of Texas. They do everything bigger in Texas.
they like to think so.
Yeah, they do like to think so. But anyway, so I'm going to bring on an oldie and OG guest. He was on early on when we were doing audio only. He is a Marine Corps veteran, comedian out of South Carolina. So let's bring to the stage Mr. Brandon Johnston. How are you, sir?
I'm beat down, run down, and run over. How are you?
Man, I'm doing well. I'm glad to see you're up and moving and mobile. I'm not going to get into too much details, but I'm glad to see the good Lord wasn't done with you yet. Let's put it that way.
You and me both, brother. You and me both.
So, so what's been going on with you since the last time we had you on the show, other than the stuff recently?
Periods of unconsciousness. No. Well, oh gosh, actually, it has been a little while since I've been on the show, but I had a few shows. I went out to. I was actually featured in America's Funniest Veteran Competition, hosted by the Best Medicine Brigade, and it's on Vet TV right now. It just came out, Operation Hilarious, HEAL. They just released it, I think February 8th or 9th, somewhere around in there.
Nice.
Um, yeah, and like I said, the accident, and just trying to put together some other shows here and there, and I just got back on stage. I did a show in Columbia, South Carolina. I just did a open mic at the VFW this past Friday, which
How
was
did that go at the VFW?
so. First off, is an open mic. So open mic means anybody, anything, whatever. And of course, being VFW crowd, now it's a little bit different crowd than like a comedy club open mic. So it was interesting, but I'm saying it was a good time, and everybody felt, at least in my opinion, I think everybody felt respected and heard, and got some good advice and good feedback. Um, I say I had everybody, pretty much all the comics came up to me afterwards, and they were very thankful and happy to have an opportunity, because there's just not a lot of places that still do open mics. It's hard for a comic to get stage time anywhere. You got to beg, borrow, and do some other resourceful underground type things to get stage
Yeah.
time sometimes. So I like to be able to provide that. Like I said, I was given the opportunity by my mentors and people ahead of me, and I want to be able to give that back to other comics as well.
Now, we talked in the earlier episode, when you got started in comedy, you went to the VA, to the arts program, or if I remember correctly, what was that program called?
Well, I didn't actually go through. I got told about the program after I started in comedy,
Oh,
because just like the rest of my life, I do things backwards. I mean, I got married, and then me and my wife started dating. But I mean, it was okay. I mean, we met in the cycle ward, so that's understandable, But no, so there's actually a lot of programs I found after I got into comedy that are there specifically to help veterans. One of which being the and see now just now ASAP, Armed Services Arts Program. And so they
nice,
do everything from stand-up comedy workshops to writing, and for books or screenwriting or just anything to do with the arts. They got music programs. They've got all kinds of different programs, and they're absolutely free for veterans. And
nice,
most of them are either they're taught by industry professionals and by veterans who are within the industry themselves. So,
nice, nice.
As far as you know, is that a program that's available at all of the larger VAs?
so
Obviously not
it is
small
not.
clinics. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not a VA program. It is a privately funded private entity. Um,
got it.
that they were found there. I think they're also a nonprofit, but they were founded specifically to help veterans within the arts community. I know
Nice.
that, like I said, actors and everything, but I think they've got a lot going on they got a lot going on in LA and out in Hollywood, which was really, like I said, I was out there for we filmed the Vet TV special at the Bob Hope Theater in Hollywood, California, which was crazy. At the same stage, you remember the movie Patton?
Yeah.
You got George C. Scott up there with the big American flag behind him.
Oh
Yep.
yeah,
That's the stage they filmed that scene on.
nice.
It was
Nice.
it was
Nice.
crazy, beautiful, wonderful historical theater. But anyway, the ASAP program, I know a lot. They have a lot of stuff out there. I believe they got some stuff up around DC, but they have different things in all different areas, and they try to connect veterans that are within the industry to each other.
That's awesome. So I actually was just talking with the guy, um, from Guitars for Vets, and
Mhm.
he was telling me about a program called Cavarts. It's CAVARTS, and it's a program basically kind of the same principle. When you go to their website, you got to log in. You got to be a veteran, so you got to prove either with a DD 214 or a VA card or something like that. But they have different programs, like you get the art rooms, you got the Guitar for Vets Learning Center, and all kinds of different things on there. But it's, if you want to check that out, it's CAVARTS.org, and you go there and check that out. And they're actually doing pretty good things from what I can see on their website. And the only thing I noticed when I went on there, I didn't see anything about podcasting or broadcasting or media wise.
Well,
So
it sounds like you should put the link in the comment section.
you know what? You probably are right, my friend. I should probably do that.
It's his first day.
It's my first day on the show. Uh, but yeah,
Man, them
so
head
no,
injuries, I might have got some new brain cells.
I know, right? You might have. You might have. So yeah, I'm gonna put the link in the comments. Good suggestion. Good suggestion. So the link is in the comments. So anyhow, man, I'm like I said earlier when we first started here talking, I'm so glad that you're back up and running and doing what you love. Now, with that being said, we are going to be joined today by three comedians, actually four, because you're one. And then we're going to be joined by three more comedians that make up Article 15 Comedy. So I'm super excited to bring these guys on. We're going to bring Eric Knowles up first. Then we're going to bring Mr. Mike Sanchez up. And then we're going to bring Mr. Shiloh Harris up to the stage. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you guys?
Excellent. Thanks for having us.
Man, well, I'm glad you guys are here. So let's do a little bit of a rundown who you are. So we'll start with Eric, and then we'll go to Mike, and then we'll go to Shiloh right after that.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'm excuse me. I'm Eric Knowles. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I was a helicopter mechanic in the Marine Corps, 1998 to 2003. Started doing stand-up kind of unofficially while I was still in. There's kind of a funny story behind that, how that got started. It was kind of a punishment that I was given to have to perform in front of everybody. And it actually ended up working pretty well. And I've been doing stand-up for, I think, about 16 years now. I've entertained the troops overseas with Armed Forces Entertainment, a couple of tours with them. In 2016, I won the Veterans Choice Award for Best Comedian. That was out there in Hollywood at the Hollywood American Legion. Nice. I don't know. Yeah, and I just started this Article 15 comedy tour just basically because I believe that laughter is one of the best medicines. It's helped me through some hard and dark times, and at this point, I'm just out there trying to spread that medicine. And so I got my two partners. Oh, there's my dog. Got my two partners in with me, Michael Sanchez, and we picked up Shiloh Harris this last year. We just got to know him. Outstanding dude. I don't know.
All right, let's move on to Mr. Mike Sanchez.
What's going on, guys? How y'all feeling?
We're doing good. How are you, sir?
Good. So Mike Sanchez with Article 15 Comedy Group, former U.S. Army. I was the utilities equipment repair, fancy way of saying air conditioning mechanic.
Nice.
I need you at my house.
Say again?
I need you at my house.
Yeah.
Oh, I need you. I wasn't very good at it. It was just the easiest thing to get into, to be quite honest. They're like, hey, you know what? It's either this or do like a real military job. I'm like, no, I think I'll be an air conditioning mechanic. So I was in from like 98 to 2002, well, 2001 with a little break.
Right.
So did a little bit of time in Korea, a little bit of time in Oklahoma.
You were at Fort Steele, huh?
I was at Fort Steele, Oklahoma. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Nice. So how long you been in comedy?
I've been doing comedy now for going on 9 years, I believe. 9 years now. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I've been doing it for a little bit now. Still at the same spot, so it's not very encouraging. I might have to look for another profession, I think.
Oh, heck. No, I've seen some of your stuff, and I think you're pretty funny, man. I think you just need to keep pushing and keep grinding. And if you connect yourself with enough veteran comedians out there, then that only helps you get better. So I think you should just keep on doing what you're doing, keep rocking, and go.
I like this podcast. It's motivating and uplifting, and I'm feeling motivated.
Hey, I'm telling you,
write some jokes.
That's it right there, buddy. You just reach out and touch somebody, okay?
Yeah,
nobody's ever gotten in trouble for that.
I've been doing, like I said, I've been doing comedy for 9 years now, and I've known Eric for about 6 years now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
6 years. I was one of the first people to start working with Eric when he moved back to Texas.
Yep.
We kind of just met through Facebook. He was like, "Hey, I'm a comedian. I won the World Series of Comedy in 2016. I'm coming to Houston." I'm like, dude, I was just barely starting to produce my first comedy shows. I'm like, you need to be on my show. And I'm like, how much is this guy going to cost me? I'm thinking like exaggerated money. I'm thinking like, this dude's going to be definitely $200. Definitely $200. I was like, that's a big budget at that time. But no, ever since then we've been, I mean, the best of friends, and when he started Article 15 comedy, and he offered me a spot on it, and he's like, "Hey, you want to do this one?" I'm like, it was a no brainer. I think Eric and I, probably out of the majority of the comedians I've worked with over the years, hit it off the most. I think mostly because of our military background, because there's just that initial just automatic camaraderie
Yeah.
that goes along with working with other veterans and stuff like that. Like you get each other right off the bat. You get each other's sense of humor. You have similar passions for wanting to see things through. So it worked out great. And then when we added Shiloh Harris, it was like from day one, it was just like, dude, this guy he's got to be part of the whole thing. I mean, it was just it was as if we were
Close
all
to
at boot
you.
camp together and just reunited again.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Well, let's bring him
Yeah.
up and let Mr. Shiloh talk about himself. Welcome, sir.
Myself. Hey, what's
Yes,
up,
sir.
man? How you guys doing?
Man, we're hanging out, man. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. I know that the audience doesn't necessarily know it, but I want to apologize to you guys. Sorry I was running a little bit late. I got a late call a minute ago, and anyway,
No, you're
but
good.
yeah, man, I'm really excited to be on the show because kind of like what Eric and Mike both said is, it's like when we met, it was like that very first show. It was like everything just kind of kicked off. We were like, holy shit, this feels good, and anyway, and to be honest, I haven't really done a lot of stand-up comedy. This is
Right.
really new for me. And when, I'm listening to Eric, 15 years and Mike 9 years. And Mike, dude, you're funny as shit, bro. I love you, man. I remember the first show I was watching you guys, man. I was dying. I was like, holy crap, I'm going to learn a lot from these guys. Yeah, I've been a motivational speaker, though. I got injured in Iraq back in 2007 by a roadside bomb. And it was about 700 pounds. The closest was buried in the road. Obviously it changed me quite a bit, took my ears. Just so you know, I have ears. I'm not wearing them right now. I have them someplace, that's like keeping them warm, I guess.
I didn't even notice. What are you
I
talking
do
about?
have I know, yeah, I know you're saying, we're like, oh, I didn't even notice you didn't have ears, buddy. And then I got my little antennas for my hearing aids. And it looks
Nice.
really weird, but I don't get to wear my ears too. So, oh, man. But anyway, so yeah, I got blown up. I ended up in San Antonio. And I don't know, man. I was always joking around and stuff in the burn ward, and I got to know a lot of the nurses, and I mean, it just seemed like you'd kind of break up the monotony,
Yeah.
And anyway, one day I realized that it was real quiet on the burn ward, and I made myself all the way down to Burger King that was in the basement, and I got caught. I was trying to
Okay.
order a burger, but dude, I wasn't supposed to walk yet. I was still like having my IV and everything. Like,
Oh,
I mean, I
man.
was dragging it. And I get all the way to Burger King and I'm trying to order a Whopper. And the little girl looks at me because I was like, I had my arms still stuck out to where I couldn't use them. And the little girl was like, how are you going to eat it? And the first thing I was thinking is if I could just get that burger in front of me, man, I'd be like, I didn't even need my hands. Dude, because you know what happens when you're on deployment? Man,
Yeah.
you think about food, you think about, booty, and you think about a lot of other things too. But
Right.
you're definitely
Right.
thinking about food, So anyway, but I just became that funny guy and joked around, and I became a motivational speaker on accident, and then I became an author on accident, and here I am becoming a comedian, apparently on purpose, but it seemed to be kind of an accident too. So I'm just a yes guy, man, and I love
Oh,
it.
man.
And I love working with Eric. He's been a great coach. Mike has been a great coach. But Mike, man, he gives me too hard a time, though. Eric's a little softer on me. Mike, he likes to put the elbow on me, bro. I swear. Hard. It's hard motherfuckers to work for.
So, JR here says he loves your hairdo.
Oh, I know it. That's my solar panel. Isn't that your solar panel?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it. And I want to start this off and say thank you guys, all four of you, for coming on here and spending the next 2 hours or hour or whatever, however long we go and talk about, how being a comedian when you're up on stage and you're telling your story, because all comedians do it. They tell their story and make people laugh in the same principle. So for one, you're telling your story, you're healing yourself that way, because the more you talk about your story, the more healing you do for yourself. And then you're also making other people laugh in the crowd, and that's also making you feel better. So when you're up on the stage, tell me how that feels for you guys. Whoever wants to take it.
All right. Well, I guess I'll jump in. So, what does it feel like when I'm on stage? Man, that's kind of hard to explain. It's like it's weird to say it, but it's like that's where I'm the most comfortable. It's become like my home away from home, kind of.
Mhm.
It's a place. It's a very peculiar place because it's like one of the only places left in this country where there's still a pretty good amount of free speech, where you can say what you want to say and say it how you want to say it, but the risk is all on you. It's got to be palatable. It's got to be relatable. I love being on stage. I love the energy that I get from audiences. I love seeing people laugh, and I think the best part of my comedy career is after the shows, doing the meet and greet and hearing the stories that I'll jog the memories of a lot of veterans, and they'll be like, "Man, you made me remember, a lot of the fun parts about the military." Because a lot of
Mm.
us, we get out of the military and just kind of put it behind us. I did that for a lot of years. It was a long time before I really felt any pride in being a veteran. You know, I never wore the shirts or the hats and get the tattoos and all of that until I started entertaining the troops and going back on those bases and just smelling those smells and the memories coming back and watching these guys and man, it's crazy when you go on I don't know if you've been on a military base recently and seen like the guys, but they're kids, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're kids. I'm like, man, is that how we looked, man? Like it's crazy. I mean, you got 19-year-olds in charge of major shit,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I'm
killing
still
it.
coming to
Yeah,
grips with
and
my
it was
son
never like that when
being.
we were in, right?
It
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah,
seem like
it
it.
didn't feel that way anyway, right?
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my son's
It
in right
seems like
now,
that.
Because we knew.
and I'm still trying to relate back to how that felt. I'm like, yeah, but I was growing up, and you're a kid. It's
Yep.
Yep.
it's wild, and he's starting his second enlistment. Got
That's
stationed
cool.
at Hawaii, so now I'm also resentful because I never got to go there, and he's live streaming me, with palm trees in the background.
Is he Marine Corps?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Marine recruiters after my son, he's going to graduate next year. So
Oh hell no! I ain't
yeah,
letting my kids go in the Corps. I'm gonna tell them
No.
go in the Air Force, buddy.
Yeah, so I got two daughters. One's 17, one's 15, and my oldest wants to be an FBI agent, but so she wants to go military first. So I told her, I said, look, if you're going to go in the military, you want to be FBI, you need to go Air Force. That's the route you need to go because a lot of the FBI agents, CIA, and the alphabet soup, they always go pick from the Air Force a lot of times because you go security forces, Air Force. So I told her, I said, go to college first, go to an ROTC program that has an Air Force ROTC. Once you do ROTC, you go into the Air Force as an officer, do your tour there, and then you can go to FBI once they recruit you or whatever. And then my youngest daughter, who's 15, she wants to be a high school history teacher, but she also wants to be a medic in the military. So I'm like, all right, your choices as a medic, you can either go Army medic, combat medic, or you can go into the Navy and become a corpsman. And then she wants to be with the Marines. I'm like, well, that's the only way you're going to be able to be with the Marines is if you go be a Navy corpsman. Uh, so we're going to see. And I'll never tell them not to join the military, but I will try to persuade them to go in the best possible route that's going to help further them in their, in their future. So it's fun, and you know, it, a lot of
hey,
people
buddy.
think, yeah.
I don't want to be that guy, but I would not recommend to your daughter if she wants to go medical to be a corpsman and go be stationed with a bunch of Marines. I want you to really think about that before you suggest that
Oh,
to her.
Yeah, I
trust
was
me,
gonna say that. I
Good
was gonna say
point.
that.
Very good point.
trust me. I
Yeah.
am persuading her to go the Army route. Trust me. Um,
That is
but
funny. That's
What are you
funny.
saying? Are you saying Army has better manners? Maybe.
Well, they just don't get laid.
They don't. Yeah, they don't get
Thank
laid as
you.
much.
Was
Yes.
it Eric? Yeah,
That was Eric.
yeah.
I don't know about that.
We don't have to worry about them having any sex appeal at all.
Right.
They don't have to have anything in the Army. That's the problem. They don't have to have
No,
anything at all.
And they
That's
smell
great.
funny.
Hey,
Yeah.
okay, so hold on. We got 2 Army guys, 4 Marines on here. Who's got the best uniform out of all the branches?
Come on now.
Marines,
Coast Guard,
Army.
Space Force, Space
Camp
Force.
Oh,
Camp
I mean,
Couch.
you can't technically say
Oh yeah, we
you can't technically say the Coast Guard is a military branch.
Oh,
as much
actually, I
as-
take it back. Space Force. Have you seen the new Space Force uniforms?
No, I haven't.
I
That's
don't
what
know which direction they're
Shiloh just
trying to
said.
go. It's either they're going to go Star Trek or Spaceballs, but I don't care. It's cool either way.
Man, I saw an Air Force uniform on the internet the other day, and man, those things look way
Thank
too
you, Shiloh.
flammable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, so while we're sitting here chit chatting, I'm gonna look up new military uniforms.
Oh,
while
I'll
we're
get 'em.
chit-chatting.
All right, I tell you
they
what.
go
Pull up the
peaceful.
Space Force uniform and then put a picture of Captain Picard right next to it.
Is that how they look? Really?
I kid you not, man. The little star and everything, or Captain Kirk. It looks like the older ones.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Let's put Space.
Now you got
Force.
me want to look this up.
Hey,
Yeah.
I premiered that joke the other night and it killed. Yeah. Hey, so
All right.
while he's looking that up, so I'm looking at you guys' website, and Eric, I got to ask you, man,
Yeah.
whose picture is that under your profile?
Where?
On your
I'm trying to
website.
think of which one's up there.
Well, it's this bald-headed dude, young guy with he's got a fully colored
Two-tone.
beard and like really slim and fit. Who's
Yeah,
this
that's
guy?
me, man. That's how I look. in
30
real
pounds
life.
lighter, right?
Oh yeah.
That was also his dating profile.
Is that
picture.
from 16 years ago when you started comedy?
No, man. That's current, man.
I'm sorry, man.
No,
Hey,
you're
look,
right.
my
That-
pictures.
that is a
pictures
pretty
are
old
bad.
one.
So we're gonna look at this here if it'll go full screen here.
Hey.
So yeah,
Nobody
you can
goes
see
full
right.
screen, man.
Oh man, I'm digging that. I like
So
that.
it does look like
I'm telling you.
Mm.
Pull up another window and look at the old Star Trek, the original Star Trek. I'm telling you, with the
All
buttons
right,
down
let's
the
see.
thing
That's
and everything.
right out of the first Star Trek movie.
it
Yeah,
is.
kind of is. Yeah, I can see that.
All right, let's see.
Star Trek, the motion picture uniform.
Yep.
That's exactly what it looks like.
And then pull up Spaceballs and look at their uniforms. I'm telling you.
You know what? I get it with the Spaceball one because you're right. That does look just like them guys.
His was gray, right?
All you need is oversized helmets and stuff like that.
That's it. Man,
Which
I'm
they
gonna
probably
cry.
have.
Which
Man,
one?
you said
This one?
them
That
two
one.
magic words.
The same one. Same. That's
All right, hold on. We're gonna share this screen. So let's see.
Mike, you said them two magic words. You about made me cry, man. I ain't heard that. I never heard that since I've been married. You're right. That's awesome. Thank you.
brothers helping brothers here.
All right, here we go. So here's from the original Star Trek movie.
Yeah. No,
Oh wow.
Yes.
Right?
Very close.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
gay.
Look at the logo. Look at the logo on the belt buckle. Did you see it?
Oh yeah, look at the logo here. Let me reshare that.
Well, they
Look like
acknowledge
Captain
that.
Crunch.
Let's see. Go back to share screen. Go back up here. Share.
I didn't mean to make the show so technical, but
No, you're good. What's up, James Thornton? How are you, sir? Yeah, look at the logo. Oh my God, dude. You
yeah,
got
is that not
on
the
the
Space
side
Force
and the
logo?
yeah.
Yeah.
no.
Hollywood
Yeah, I got
finally got their own force.
Holy cow. Holy cow.
Well, I'm
that
sure
is
there's a
really-
little sci-fi inspiration. You know, it had to be.
They were
Oh,
building.
yeah.
They were building that division off of cheap buzzing, and like they got a bunch of like prop uniforms
Yeah,
from
probably.
the Star Trek movies. Like, hey, look, we got a way to save money.
James is another Army guy. He was in Somalia
Weren't even
during.
thanks for asking.
Yeah. So he was.
James, I
he
don't think
was
anybody here can help you with that, buddy.
we don't have no Navy guys on here, so we're lucky. We can't help you out, man. Sorry. It's not my day in the barrel.
I thought the Marines were all about teamwork. That's what I heard. I'm just saying.
Well, we are about teamwork. We are about teamwork, but not like that. That's the Navy, That's the Navy for you. Hey,
Oh,
James,
you
you're
mean
right.
daddy? You mean daddy department?
Yeah.
Uber.
$20 is $20.
or mama department.
Or mama, yeah.
What works for you?
Oh hell. Hell. Oh my Lord, we're gonna get derailed here. I can feel it coming on. Oh, but yeah, no, those uniforms, man, they're crazy looking. How they so much resemble um, uh, Star Trek uniforms. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So here's something funny. So in my hometown, there's a Veterans Memorial. Right, I've lived in this town for 14 years and didn't even know we had a Veterans Memorial in this town. And I'm very well connected with the veteran community. And my next door neighbor, she's one of the troop leaders for the Girl Scouts. And she calls me up one day. She goes, "Hey, the Girl Scouts have been approached by the mayor to revamp the Veterans Memorial." And I was like, "What Veterans Memorial?" So I go up there and I look. It's one stone that's 3 foot by like 4 foot tall. That's got all the branches across the top, and it's got a little dedication. It's got one flagpole that's 24 foot tall. At the top, it's got the American flag, the state of Kentucky flag, and then it's got the city of Mount Washington flag. No other flag representing, the military branches or anything like that. So the Girl Scouts got a budget that they're going to go in and redo this. And I suggested, hey, you need a flagpole for each branch with a flag of each branch on it. And she goes, "Well, what order does that go?" And I'm like, "Well, it goes like this." So no, not by the cemetery, JR, up by City Hall. So it goes Armies, Marine, Navy, Air Force, Space Force, Coast Guard. So how did the Space Force jump before the Coast Guard when they're new?
That's what I was just thinking. I was like, how'd they do that?
I don't understand it.
I think we missed the point of this whole story.
What's that?
That the Girl Scouts are going to make a sash with all the different campaigns that the U.S. military has been involved in to display on the memorial. That's what they're doing, right? Everybody gets everybody gets a merit badge, right?
Yeah, everybody gets a new merit badge. Yep. So I want to say hello to
Girl Scouts because I had to come in here with my Girl Scout cookies. I left the living room. I was like, "Oh man, I got to get my Girl Scout cookies."
Nice. So I want to say hello to.
I spent like $300 on cookies.
Nice. My wife has spent maybe because the Girl Scout cookies, the price went up, and we've got friends that are in different troops. So she's like, "Well, I can't buy from one and not buy from the other." So she's buying like 4 boxes from here, 4 boxes from here. I'm like, "Bro, you need to stop buying Girl Scout cookies because I don't need them."
That's a true sign the economy has hit the shit because like when Girl Scout cookies start going up, all hell is broke loose already. That's just un-American right there.
Yeah.
The Girl Scouts are hurting,
shout
guys.
out to Miss Carol Lee with Conversations with a Vet. Now, she's not a veteran, but her 2 sons are. She's got 2 Marine sons. And so I want to say hello to Miss Carol Lee and say thank you for jumping on.
Hey, Carol Lee.
What she does with her podcast, she'll reach out to veterans, just any veteran, whoever might not think they have a story or they think they have a story, and she brings them on and they talk about their experience in the military and stuff like that. So if you guys ever want to jump on another podcast and tell your story, Conversations with a Vet is a good one to look at. She's very down to earth, and she carries a great conversation. So yeah, if you definitely want to check out her and get on her podcast, she's up. I forget where you're located. She's up north somewhere. I can't remember exactly where she's located, but she's up like Montana, or not Montana, but Minnesota or somewhere up in that area.
Man, just pick a state, man. Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts.
Just pick one.
We got a lot with M's, man.
No, never mind. I was wrong. She's in Tennessee.
Man, I don't even start with an M.
God, no, right?
Sense of direction.
Yeah, hey, land nav.
You're like me, man. You're a stickler for the details. I don't know why, but I'm a stickler for the details. I can sometimes I'm telling a story And then all of a sudden, people are like, "Dude, I don't need to know that shit. That's too much." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but I want to get it right."
Yeah. But no, she's a great lady, and her two sons. One of them is been in the Marine Corps for 13 years, and he's an instructor. And we were talking about how the younger generation, so not our generation, but the younger generation that's in now, how they depend on technology. Like everything they do, they depend on technology, and
Oh
how
yeah.
different it was when we were in compared to where they're in.
Man, they're going to keep going.
Imagine.
It's going to be a virtual boot camp on an app from your phone.
Yeah,
I
no
mean,
shit.
I'll sign
I
back
tell
up.
Can
you
you
what,
imagine how
man.
easy it would have been to go out
Yeah.
to the field if you had your GPS on your phone versus having to actually use an azimuth and map and try to do
Yeah,
coordinates
yeah.
and stuff like that? Like I would have passed map reading with no problem.
You know how hard it is to go entertain the troops when they're sitting in the audience watching a better comedy special on Netflix on their damn phone, you know?
Oh yeah.
Like they have Wi-Fi. It's like, why do we need to bring entertainment to these people?
Hey,
Yeah.
we got a celebrity
Trip
in
through.
here, Eric. We
I
got
see him.
DJ Royalty. DJ
Royalty.
What's up,
Royalty.
DJ
Scott
Royalty?
Blake.
What's up, brother?
Mr.
He's
Scott
the one that
Blake,
put
how are
Eric on
you,
the hot
sir?
seat last time.
uh-oh.
Yeah, well, hey, we can bring him on here. He can throw out a hot seat for you guys if you want.
Right.
There you go. You see Eric sweat and everything. It starts glistening more than it normally is. He's like, whoa, why are we answering all these questions for?
Yeah,
I don't know
right.
what I'm like.
I'll just
Okay,
make him mad again.
So
Talking
in
stories.
honor of Scott Blake being on the show right now in the comments, I'm going to ask one of his questions from his hot seat. All right.
Oh,
In your opinion, who's better, Prince or Michael Jackson?
Oh, definitely Prince.
oh
I
wow.
have a question. Better at what?
I'm not going to say entertainer or musician.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say who's better, Prince or
Okay.
Michael Jackson.
Prince.
I mean, yeah, I guess Prince technically.
All right, there's two Prince.
I mean,
Michael?
but they both suck.
There is that.
You know what?
They're not touring lately.
I'm gonna
Right.
go with Michael Jackson. I'm gonna go with Michael Jackson that one. I
All
saw that
right.
recent documentary about the We Are the World music video and stuff like that. And to find out how much actually went into it, they knocked all that out in one freaking night. He had one night to come up with that song, produce it, get everybody in there, record it.
Yeah.
And it was Michael Jackson that did a majority of that work. So
Mm,
I'm gonna give it to Mike.
okay.
Man, I was
Okay.
a big Michael Jackson fan as a kid. I had the Michael Jackson lunchbox and the Trapper Keeper and all of that. And then
You had the Thriller jacket because I had that
Yeah.
motherfucker. I put it on layaway when it was relevant, and I wasn't able to get it out till summer. I wore that thing the whole goddamn summer. I sweated my
lost
ass off,
interest.
but I wore it.
I
I
lost
look
interest.
cool. I might have smelled bad, but I look cool.
It's amazing
Man,
how
yeah.
many kids were fans of Michael Jackson. Though I mean, he really just touched a special place in child's hearts, man.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I liked
Hearts.
Michael Jackson until I was about
Yeah.
13. So I lost interest in him about the same time he would have in me, probably.
Oh, so that reminds me of an old joke.
No, no.
What does
Remember, you
Michael
started
Jackson
this.
and what does Michael Jackson and Walmart have in common?
Something about little boys' pants half off.
Yep, they both have little boys' pants half off. Yeah. No, I like Michael Jackson. Don't get me wrong. I love Michael Jackson. I love his music. That's as far as it goes. I wouldn't want to meet him in person. And
I
as for
wouldn't either. I mean, it's been
who's
how many years now?
I know.
2009.
I still wouldn't bring him back from the dead if I had the choice between Prince and Michael Jackson. I'd bring Prince back. That's just my personal opinion, but Prince, and you can't compare the two. Unfortunately, Michael Jackson was a performer, and he was hella good at what he did as performing on stage, and then Prince, being the musician that he was. And an overall artist, he wasn't really a performer like Michael Jackson. So I would have to give, if I had the two to choose between the two, which it's my question, so I do, I would go with Prince.
Yeah. I mean, all jokes aside, Prince, I think, was more musically talented.
I think he's eccentric too. I thought he's just kind of like old school to me, and he kind of stuck to his roots. And that's just me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I say Prince, because I don't know, he seemed to be a little bit more relatable. You know, Michael Jackson's like way up here, you know, and then there's all these
Wait, Prince was
rumors and all
relatable.
this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to mess
Yeah.
with that
So
shit.
you like to play basketball in high top or in high heels and everything?
If you can.
That's what
Don't
he
make fun
did.
of my high heels.
Hey, man, Prince was on his own freaking program. He was OFP all day long.
Yeah.
Dude, that's what I'm
Mhm.
saying. Prince was a complete. There's no relatability. You can't relate to Prince. Prince was on his own thing. He had a what's his name from Clerks, the guy that from Silent Bob and
Kevin
them.
Smith. Yeah.
Kevin
Kevin
Smith.
Smith.
Yeah.
He has Kevin Smith go to his house for like a whole weekend and just film this whole thing for a documentary. And at the end of it, he's like, "All right, just give me the footage." He goes, "Oh, great. When are we going to start editing?" He goes, "It's not. It's just going to go on the vault." He paid him thousands and thousands of dollars just to film, ran out of film, and then it just never got released. He's like, "I'm just going to keep it for
Yeah, I heard
my
that
own
same
viewing."
story from Kevin. And he
Oh,
was
wow.
talking about how there's a vault with roughly 45,000 songs that Prince wrote, recorded, and
Never
then
released.
decided that he didn't want to release it.
Nice, James.
Or
I
that,
like
or that
that.
one time with Jimmy Fallon, where he called Jimmy Fallon up, and he's like, "Yeah, this is Prince's assistant. He wants to meet you at this place, like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon." And he's like, "All right, cool." He shows up there. There's like a ping pong table, and he's just like waiting. And then Prince like walks in. He's like, "I heard you like to play ping pong," and they played ping pong. He beat the shit out of Jimmy Fallon and left.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
He did weird shit like that all the time, apparently.
Okay,
Wow.
so I'm going to go a little in depth here, and we're going to start with Mike Sanchez up top, then we'll work Shiloh, Eric, and then Brandon. When you were growing up, who was some of your favorite comedians growing up?
Growing up, favorite comedians. So I grew up kind of like when they had Def Comedy Jam. You know, Def Comedy Jam was a big thing on HBO. I think at the same time too, we had the Latin Kings of Comedy, which was one of my biggest things, I guess, for me being a Latino young kid. You know, because like when I was growing up, it was what the '80s, right?
Yeah.
So you didn't see a lot of Latinos doing anything as far as like in mainstream American TV and things like that. You know, like if I want, like everybody I knew Latino were playing, you know, they were playing Tejano music or Spanish music, or they were doing, you know, novellas and things like that. So to turn on HBO and see Latin Kings of Comedy and see like, you know, Hispanics that look like me doing comedy, that was one of my motivating factors growing up watching comedy. So like I grew up watching, like obviously everybody watched Cheech and Chong. I think everybody saw the movies, you know, but I never
Yeah.
really knew they did stand up until much later. Like, oh shoot, they do this. It's not just movies with them. So Paul Rodriguez was one of the guys that I looked up to because he opened the door, I think, for a lot of Latinos into stand-up comedy. He produced a lot of shows and things like that. So he was one of the ones I definitely looked up to as far as like I could do this. Um, Richard Pryor. I don't think anybody can start a list without having Richard Pryor in there. That guy is the epitome of say what I want to say, what's on my mind. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, fuck you.
Yeah.
I think that was the greatest like mentor you can get to her as far as like, you know, be true to yourself. I think the whole fact that when he got on NBC and had that contract for that variety show, he hated it and did everything he could to get out of it, including like opening up the show one time butt ass naked just so they would cancel it on him. I thought that was, you know, that's edgy, you know. That's like I don't want to do this.
Who did that?
So we're talking
Richard
about just
Pryor
growing
did
up,
that?
right? Like, so Fluff. I see you say Fluffy. Fluffy was not around the time when I was growing up. He was much later, and
Mhm.
not like Fluffy, but he's not like anybody I would say is like anybody I aspire towards. You know,
Right. Right.
he's
I
not
did
my
get to
type
see
of.
him in his club days, and God bless I knew he was going to be a big.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. But so yeah, so like I said, like for me it was like it was Paul Rodriguez, it was Eddie Murphy, it was Richard Pryor. I mean, those guys were the guys I looked at and like, dude, these guys are hilarious. They're doing their stuff. They're just out there. And then there was a lot of other comics I used to see on HBO that were hilarious to me. I can't remember their names now, but I could tell you the jokes I heard that stuck with me forever. Like there was this one comedian, I can't remember his name, but he talks about going out for a party after he was grounded. And then he's like, you know, he's at this party and his dad's like, you better not be late. And he's like, it's 11 o'clock was his curfew. He's looking at the watch. It's like 11:30. He goes, oh shit, I got to go home. I'm late. And his buddy convinces him, man, why don't you just stay and have a good time? He goes, you're already late. You can't be more late. So he's like, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm showing up at the house. My dad's at the window. He's looking at the watch. He's like, I'm gonna kill you. He's like, I am now more late.
Ooh,
Uh,
I got to figure out who that is. All
I don't
right,
remember
let's
who it
go.
was, but that joke was hilarious. So I mean, there's a lot of people that influence, but definitely, if I had to put it down to three, it would definitely be Paul Rodriguez, um, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy for sure for me.
Nice, nice. All right, Shiloh, your turn.
Okay, man. I got a pretty, I guess, like old school list. I actually I when I was younger, I watched a lot of TV, you know, with friends because I didn't watch a lot of TV on my own. So I didn't even know what was popular when I was growing up because I was always outdoors or doing something, or I was always working, one or the other. And so I didn't watch a lot of TV. The only time I was watching TV was with other people. So I kind of like I got into Bobcat Goldthwait there for a long time. I loved him, dude. He was so funny and his mannerisms and everything. And then Rodney Dangerfield, a lot of facial expressions. I think that maybe one of my appeal is the facial expressions and stuff. Bobcat, with his late whatever. How do you? I don't even know. I don't know how to say it. Like his
His
imperfect
voice.
speech.
Yeah.
But he turned it into something that was good and funny.
Well, that was a character for him.
Yeah, and
I saw him after he kind of dropped that persona, and the whole gravelly,
Yeah.
addled person bit was gone. It was still funny, but I was expecting that, and I hadn't realized it was a character per se. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Chris Farley, dude. I was a big Chris Farley.
Oh, I
man.
love Chris Farley and
He's
Dana
so
Carvey.
damn funny, man. Love that dude.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, those were my guys. But ironically, there was when I was younger, man. My dad, he didn't do comedy. He didn't do that stuff. He wasn't. He was a Vietnam veteran. He was, he lived it. We listened to motivational tapes. I mean, literally, that was our road
Nice.
music. Or Foreigner, Foreigner, or Eye of the Tiger, or something like that. Something inspirational, motivational. And I guess that's
Nice.
why I ended up in being a motivational speaker. I literally grew up on all of that stuff. But when I was in the military in New York, right before my second deployment, we went to a comedy show. Somebody talked me into going to a comedy show, and I'm like, oh yeah, sure, we'll go out. And there was a guy that had had a stroke, and half of his body was somewhat paralyzed, and he's up there doing stand up. And I'm going to tell you, man, that man inspired me. I don't even remember all the stuff that he said. All I know is it was funny as shit. And and a lot of it was he was using his disabilities and going, I never planned on being like this, but bam, I mean, the moral of the story was so inspiring that it stuck with me. And then when I got blown up, I think that's why it just kind of stuck with me, because I was thinking, you know what, I'm still me right here. And that was something that guy said. He was like, I'm still me. I'm still funny. I'm still up here cracking jokes. I don't give a shit if I got a drool bubble running out my mouth, and I was just like, this dude is killing me,
Hell
And
yeah.
so I think that's why, I got into the comedy stuff too, because I do have a funny bone, but I'm having to shift gears from motivational, inspirational to, okay, now let's throw some funny on top of it, but lean heavy on the funny,
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like,
for sure.
but yeah, I've really enjoyed working with Eric and Mike. They've been great coaches. So now they're my new favorite comedians.
Nice. I love it. I love it. All right, Eric, you're up, man.
Well, let's see. When I was a kid, I was really into like Matt Rife and no, I'm kidding.
You think he's sexy, don't you?
Well, that's what really got my attention first. But yeah. No, man, I don't know. When I was a kid, I liked all stand up, and I wanted to get absorb as much of it as I could. I watched a lot of BET, the Comic View. I didn't get to see Def Comedy Jam because I think that was an HBO thing. We didn't have HBO. I was really into Jim Carrey when he was just doing stand up when he first came. Yeah, I was really inspired by him. Like, it was a little too much. Like in high school, I had like the Ace Ventura haircut with the big.
Nice to come over.
Oh yeah, I would get it all wild and big, strut around like Ace Ventura, But yeah, I mean, as far as like ones that inspired me,
I don't know. I've never really been inspired or influenced by a lot of comedians.
Okay.
I don't know. That's always a tough one for me to answer because I love almost all the comedians, and I always have. Just I love the art more than the artist, I think.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Well
you have
said.
to you have to admit that there some comedians, they have that gift. Like they don't really have to sit back and like it just comes to them naturally. Like all their jokes and everything just come to them naturally. And then you got some comedians that have been doing it for 20 years and they got a pretty good career, but they just never made that next plateau. And we'll get into mine here in just a minute. You'll get there. I got you. You'll get there. All right, Brandon, you're up.
Look, I grew up in a really religious, really strict household with my grandparents. I bounced around through foster care for a little bit. So, yeah, I really didn't hit comedy until all I knew about comedians. I knew like the Andy Griffith Show and Red Skelton, which
Oh, yeah.
I mean that man could craft. I mean, now he could craft a joke, but when I got a little older, teenager, I started getting more rebellious, and that's where I found Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor and these guys, and I'm like, you know what? That's awesome. That's something I hadn't heard before, but I never thought about it as necessarily being inspired. And like I said, I never really even thought about being a comedian until really towards getting out of the military, and especially after I was out of the military. And like I said, 'cause I crack jokes like this with people all the time, and I would think back to other things. And like I say, I had a buddy of mine, my best friend in high school. I guess that was really probably the one. So when the Blue Collar Comedy Tour first came out, I was like, holy crap, these are guys that talk like me, that talk about experiences that I've had, and things like that. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And
Yeah, white guys. When I was a kid, there just wasn't too many
hits, man,
comics
hits.
that looked like me. So when I saw white people finally making it, then that's what inspired me.
See, I knew somebody was going to hit on that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, like I said, that's the thing, man. I was like, here I was, like I said, poor, yeah, exactly. Yeah, here's your sign. Yeah, I thought it was the funniest thing ever, but I didn't hear that until I was 16, 17 years old. And not that I'm that much younger than you guys. It was just like I said, I was freaking poor, man. So I
Yeah.
had to go to a buddy's house and listen to his radio, and he had internet, which I didn't know what the hell that was, and he pull these things up for me and show me. And after we'd get off the porn sites, we'd go to the comedy sites, and that just kind of happened, man. Porn and comedy. What do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm surprised there's one comedian that y'all haven't even hit on, and that's George Carlin. I mean, back in his day, he was phenomenal. Rest his soul, because I think when he did his stand up, he was just so blunt with everything that came out of his mouth. And a lot of people hated George Carlin early on in his career, and for him to persevere through that and face that adversity and use that for what he was doing, how he crafted himself. That was somebody I grew up on watching, was George Carlin, and I think he was gone too soon to see where the pinnacle of his career. And then
Yes.
Cheech
I
and
wish he was
Chong.
alive right now. I would love to hear his take on the pronouns and all of this stuff, because he was all about words and language, and the language is kind of trying to be changed right now. I would love to hear what old Uncle George would have to say.
Oh no, I would agree. I mean, I can almost visualize what he would be saying up on stage, smoking a cigarette, drinking his drink like he always did. And so George Carlin was a big one for me. And then Cheech and Chong, for sure. I love, the Cheech and Chong movies, and then their stand up too. And then I guess another one for me would be, like, I loved Dana Carvey and Chris Farley, how they worked together as a duo. And then Richard Pryor and what's his name? Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
How they work together as a pair, as a comedy duo. You know, that's the comedy that I grew up on, and I loved it. And yeah, definitely, because nowadays you have to be politically correct most of the times,
No,
because
you don't.
if not, a lot of people well, I'm offended. You know, if you're going to a comedy show, guess what? You're going to get offended. If you don't want to be offended, then don't fucking go. That's the way that I see it. And
Oh yeah.
I've seen a few comedians, you know, live in person, and one that sticks out at the top of my head is Larry the Cable Guy. We seen him at the Louisville Comedy Caravan, and I had my wife and her best friend. I took him to the comedy show, and he looked at me, and I was wearing a Dale Earnhardt jacket, a Dale Earnhardt hat. He goes, that's a redneck bake gone wrong. I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. But we were right up front too, so I kind of knew it was going to happen. But it was just so freaking hilarious. So,
You
Bill,
know, that's why I like working with Mike and Eric, is because, you know, it's like each one of us bring a little something different for everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, and as I remember catching that with Mike, you know, and not to, you know, pick on Mike too much, but he's a little dirtier than the rest of us, and he leans in on sexual stuff, you know, because he talks about being young in the military and stuff, and I think it's funny as shit. But there's some of my older friends at one of the shows that we were at. They texted me and they were like, "He's just way too dirty. You shouldn't be on stage with somebody like that." And I was like, "I know." I was like, "You know, hey, it's an artist." I said, "I don't judge other artists. You know, everybody's got their own language." And I said, and dude, I was dying. And oh my god, dude, some of the shit he said is like, I mean, it's really good. But it's, you know, it was. You know, certain people would be like, I cannot believe he just said that. You know, but Eric, he's got a couple of good zingers, you know, but for the most part, we got a good balance, I think. You know, we got a little bit for everybody.
Just remind them churches on Sundays, and the PG-13 shows at 7 or 6 p.m. with the other kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I will say that's something I'm sure you guys have run into as well. I know when I started doing shows and other things, I have some of the producers, and they may have been veteran or not, but they were like, okay, look, you can't say this word, you can't talk about this particular subject matter or whatever. You can't. Like one of the things, about veterans, like I'm big about, you know, veteran suicide, and I'm like, well, they're like, well, you can't talk about suicide because it's too harsh for some people. I'm like, I get that, but we have to have that difficult conversation, and what better way to do it than with some jokes?
Right.
Veterans will joke about the darkest things
that
can be off-putting to people who haven't walked in those circles, and it's hard to explain to someone that didn't live in some aspect of that life why it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's why I really like Vet TV and kind of the community that they've built over there.
Love that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys, you gentlemen, has there ever been a venue that you wouldn't play because of the rules and ROEs that they put on you guys?
Yeah, definitely. There was an event that they wanted, and it was just a speaking event, and I say just a speaking event, but I mean, it was literally right at the end of COVID, and there were so many obstacles, and they had no money, and I mean, it was like they would have barely been able to cover my expenses, and honestly, it really wasn't about the money, except I was looking at all these other hoops that I had to jump through, and I was like, "There's no way I'm going to do that. It's really just not worth it to me."
Right.
You know, and then me trying to be on stage speaking with a mask, I would have had to have spoke in a mask. And dude, I got a burn inhalation, and don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm pretty athletic. Don't, you know, I mean, I own it. But you know, I mean, you know, there are certain limitations. Though, yeah, I can run 3 miles. I probably sound like I'm dying the entire 3 miles, but I'll run them. You know.
Oh yeah.
So you know, but it's like if I'm trying to speak in a mask and take care of all this other nonsense, I would have been way too distracted. It would have been a shit show, and it would have been a shit show. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know, I was just like, nah, I'm going to pass. And, you know, they were kind of bummed, and I was really bummed because I'm a yes guy. You know, I try to do everything I can to make the world a better place.
Yes,
but,
sir.
You know, with certain limitations. And I think that was probably about the only one that I've ever not done. And everything else, I'm like, yeah, I can work with that, you know?
All right. What about you, Mike? Have you turned down a show because of regulations and stuff?
then most of the times I don't set myself up for a situation like that. I know my audience. I know what kind of venues can handle my kind of comedy, and I kind of gear myself towards that. I know what I am and what I represent, and so the people who tend to book me know what I am and what I represent. So I avoid that. I know I'm not volunteering to do any Sunday churches. I'm not volunteering to do any kind of peer groups. I might be at a couple of AA meetings, but
There you go.
definitely going to be at a sexual anonymous meeting apparently. So, you know, to me, it's just like, the very reason why, like Brandon said, he got into comedy, and everybody else here, everybody on the panel said the same thing. We got into comedy to speak our mind. So I don't find myself ever want to put myself in a situation where my mind is being limited or it's being censored, because then I'm
Right.
no longer speaking my mind. I'm not speaking. I could do a show like that, but you're not going to like it because it's going to be very robotic. I'm going to be speaking off of script. It's going to be nothing from the heart. It's just going to be me reciting some jokes that I might have wrote 10, 15 years
Mm-hmm.
ago that are PC friendly. You're not
Okay.
going to get the real me. And I could, and so I've never put myself in that position. So I don't really have, there's not really any room where, or no job I've ever turned down and said, no, I'm not going to do that. Because again, I never put myself in a position where I had to be in a situation where, like, well, we
Yeah.
want you, but you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
That's
Mm-hmm.
where you hear a lot of stories from comedians. The ones that are known, they're working their way up. They're your Jerry Seinfelds aren't getting these gigs, but the offers to go play at colleges, and you run into they can't do their comedy if it's anything other than like Sinbad squeaky clean,
Yeah.
because somebody's going to get offended. And I've heard multiple stories from comedians where they get shut down in the middle of their set, and then they're even just trying to collect their money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's even like dry bar comedy. It's a great opportunity for a lot of comics, but
I've seen some great stuff
you're
from them. Yeah,
you don't get to do you. They go through your entire. You have to send, apparently you have to send the whole script of your show, and they go through it with a comb and comb through everything and take out every single word that you might use that they
Mm.
don't like, whatever taglines they don't, and then they give you a script of how your comedy's supposed to be at, and that's what you go with. You don't
that's
deviate.
surprising because I have seen a lot of their videos over the years, and
Yeah.
there's some comedians that I've enjoyed quite a bit. So I mean that sounds like a garbage situation, but I guess kudos to the ones that still manage to find a way to be funny, getting
Oh yeah,
stand up.
they still find a way to be funny, but you're not getting the real them though. You're not getting the full, like, you go see it's like seeing I don't know, man, how to explain this. The dude from Full House,
Bob Saget.
Oh yes,
Oh
Bob
wow.
Saget.
yeah,
Yeah, you
oh
see Bob
yes.
Saget on Full House, and everybody who only knew him from Full House, like, oh, that's America's Dad. That guy's got to be the nicest guy in the whole world. But then you go
Go.
watch his set, it's a complete different. Oh my God, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And that's what you get when you censor things like that. So you
Yep.
you
yeah.
you you hold you hold a bit of yourself back so you can exceed forward. But at the same time, too, it's when somebody actually that sees you on this and goes sees you in real life, they leave the end of the night being like, "Oh my God, that guy was dirty. That's not what I saw on there."
Yeah.
So you're not
But
really giving a
even
true
even
representation of yourself.
even
Yeah.
with Bob Saget, like we had him at the Louisville Comedy Caravan way back when. His early shows are very PC friendly and very family friendly. And then, you get into his after hour show and it's like, dude, did he just flip a switch? And it's like, where did this guy come from?
Well, he's
Yeah.
skilled enough to do that.
Oh yeah. I mean, he was amazing. And then Dave Coulier, another one that from Full House.
Oh yeah.
He had clean stuff and then he had his dirty stuff too, and it was just like, bro. And I agree with you guys. It's like, here you are, you're a comedian, you want to talk about things that you enjoy, things that you guys know are funny because uh, that's the line of work that you're in. And then you got somebody saying, well, if you come to our show, you can't do this, you can't say this, you can't say that. I mean, there's a
Well,
reason why we have a constitution with freedom, the First Amendment, freedom of
well, and
speech.
that's why I brought it up, because I know it's happened to me in the past where I had a whole set worked out, and I'm like, okay, well, look, you need to make this clean. And granted, it was one of my mentors that was like, look, you're going to book more jobs working clean, and I'm like, I get that, but it's not going to come off the same, and it never has come off the same. And I have compromised in the past, and I haven't always felt solid about it,
Right.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
I
Yeah, you
I'm
kind of
kind of
leave.
one of those
You
that
kind of
like,
leave feeling like you got something on the table.
Yeah.
At the end of the
Exactly.
night, when you leave, you're like, man, I
I've had
really got
people
some.
come up to me. Yeah, I've had people come up to me after the show, and we're just smoking and joking outside, and they're like, "Oh my God, that's so. Why didn't you do that on stage?" I'm like, "Well, they wouldn't let me."
mm,
I'm like, I need the exposure right now, so
Right.
no,
Yeah.
I
Well, you know,
respect
that's
artists that
actually
can
part of
work
it too.
clean.
Sorry, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was say I can respect an artist that can work clean and be funny consistently. Brian Regan comes to mind.
Yeah.
Uh, he's built a stellar career off of working it, but that's what he wants to do. Obviously, that's his lane that he wants to be in. Guys, I like a lot of the absurd comics. You know, coming off of where the ones where the words they choose are or the way they deliver it, which I guess is comedy at its core, but like a Dimitri Martin,
Mhm.
where little non sequiturs, one liners delivered from a direction you weren't expecting. Um, Carlin, where as you guys said earlier, like words mean something to him, and
Yeah.
what those how those words are said are where the comedy is. Um, but then I can sit there and laugh my ass off at the guy that's thrown in a few spicy words, because
Yeah.
at its core, I can dress up and play nice, but there's f bombs in my conversations. I'm straining right now.
Yeah. Well,
right.
you know, I've had a similar conversation with a couple of different comedians, you know, along the lines of this, and you know, and it's like me. I mean, I curse, but you know, honestly, I do a lot of ministry stuff. I do a lot of this. I do a little bit of that. I work with kids a lot,
Oh,
and
sure.
you know, so it's like if somebody says, "Hey, man, we need you to clean up your stuff before you get here," I have no problem doing that for the
Yeah.
simple fact that you know it depends on where my heart's at in that moment too. You
Yeah.
know,
Right.
I don't believe in people stifling free speech. And you know, and don't get me wrong, as a motivational speaker, and sometimes just as an entertainer in general, I have felt stifled because you know there's certain things that I want to say. I mean, sometimes I just want to scream it in people's faces, you know, and nothing that's derogatory, of course, and nothing that's prejudiced or racial. But there's some things I just want to scream at people that isn't appropriate to scream.
Yeah.
And you know why I do that is because I'm civilized, and that's what makes us different from other people is that we're civilized.
Yeah.
And so, you
Right.
know, I mean, not to throw a monkey wrench and everything here, as I said, Mike, he thrives in his actual, you know, in his artist, in his acts, and that's his muse, you know, and I
Right.
love it, and it hits me, I love it. But again, you know, somebody else, you know, they're like, "Oh, that's way too dirty." Me, I'm like, "Yeah, that's funny as shit," but okay, sure, all
As an artist,
right.
whether it be musicians, comedians. I mean, comedians are frequently opening for musicians, coming out and warming up for a crowd. There's always been a history, me coming from a music background more so, um, and posting a music podcast. There's parallels between the two. Venues will sit there, hey, we want this, and artists want to be able to say whatever it is they're feeling, whatever their art is. And it always is a compromise. I don't
Yeah.
philosophically have a
Just
problem
like-
with a venue saying, "Hey, this is what we want," and that's for you as the artist to say, "I can't deliver that. That
Yeah.
doesn't feel authentic to
Yeah,
me.
and that's
That's not
fair.
how I choose to operate." Now, I've heard stories of it where money's been outlaid, artists has traveled. There's a cost for some people who aren't in the business don't know it costs a lot of money for them to get from point A to point B. They're
Yep.
flying, driving, hotels, the whole bit. They have outlaid cash to get there. And then a promoter, a venue, whatever, starts throwing restrictions on that weren't made clear ahead of time. Stories
Oh,
like that are absolutely janky.
Well, and that's
And
one of the things where I know I always try to make sure those expectations are up front and they're clear, and let them know, look, this is who I am. This is how I operate. Yes, I can do PG-13. I can't do G. You know,
Right.
it's not going to be the Little Mermaid up in here. Well,
Yeah.
apparently that's controversial now too. But anyway, but you know, I mean, we can be somewhat family friendly. And I tell people, like when I do the Legion and VFW shows, I'm like, yes, you can bring. I bring my teenagers to the show. You can bring your teenagers. Don't bring your 7, 8 year old. But
Right.
and I've had people try to hire me for birthday parties. I'm like, hey, did you not see my photo? Like biker vest, no sleeves. You know,
Right.
you
Right.
didn't see the photo. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah, if
yeah,
I get to
But
a
hey,
place and I do my show and they act like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be like that. I'm like, well, then that's on you, man. Like you didn't do your research. You're still paying me. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Show
I
me
mean,
the money.
I've had somebody walk on
That's
stage
the
and
PET coming out of Eric right there. You still paying me?
yeah, I've had somebody come on stage and end the show after 8 minutes, and I still got paid. I was like, all right, well, sorry, but give me
you
that
still make
$500 or
money.
whatever it was, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that's the
And that's
thing.
why we have contracts.
damn right.
True.
Yep.
True. And you know, for me, like when I do this podcast, I don't just go willy-nilly and bring somebody on and say, hey, I want to talk about your organization. I'm going to do my research and see what they're all about, you know. And if I owned a venue, and whether it be comedy club, whether it be music venue, whatever, I would do my research if I'm bringing somebody on stage, especially if it's, you know, somebody that is not as known as some of the big mainstream guys out there. But then that's where, you know, you look and see what's going on and see what they're all about. And me personally, you could be on my stage and say whatever the hell you want because I don't care. It's just the way I am. Because for one, I love to laugh. And comedy is the best form of to make me laugh. Comedy is the best way to do it. And looking at his face every day, it makes me laugh. But I had to throw that pun out there. But
You'll hear about it at work.
no, I love comedy, and I love
You
what
might
you
want
guys
to
are
throw
doing
an explanation in there for people that just joined about why you're looking at his face every day. I'm just
because I work with him. I work with him. You know, sometimes it's the back of his head, just depending on if he's in the same truck with me or not.
Hey, y'all, if you don't mind, I need to jump in here. I have another obligation that I need to get to.
All right, Eric.
So
Thank you for coming on and hanging out with us.
Hate to do that. I thank y'all for having me. And for the listeners out there, people watching, if you want Article 15 to comedy to come to your town, just send us a message, or any of us individually, either.
Yep.
And Brandon too. We're all looking for work, so hit us up.
Yeah. Well, Eric, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send an email to you and Brandon and link you guys together.
Yeah,
because you are doing kind of the same thing with the VFWs and all that. So I'm going to link you guys together. Thank you for coming on and hanging out with us, Eric.
You bet, man. Thank y'all.
thanks, Eric.
All right.
Later, bro.
Now we got the 18.
Cut out that dead weight.
All right, so now we can start talking for real, right?
Yeah.
Now we can
Boss,
talk
boss
shit.
is gone. So now, Mike, hey, Charlotte, I need you guys to tell me the real deal about Eric now that he's gone. He's not here to hear you no more.
Okay. All right.
Here's the hot seat.
What's Eric really like? Is he really bald? Or is that just a cat?
So
It only clanks a little bit when he walks.
I have a hard time believing he had that Ace Ventura hair because I've never seen him with hair. So I'm trying to picture that. I'm like, that's just weird to me.
Oh, I love it. I love it. No, yeah, it's hard to tell, you know, like when you meet people and start doing, you know, like a podcast, or when you're out doing your comedy and stuff like that, you have to read the crowd, like the people that are watching you, and you can know like who's going to be the heckler, you know, when you're out on stage. So when you are doing your show, what's the biggest heckler that you can remember in any of your shows that you've done? Who's heckled you the most, and what did they heckle you about?
I remember this one dude, and I was working at this club in San Antonio called Jokesters 22, and we had a monthly show there because I run a comedy group called Los Comedy Compadres, so I would bring comedians through there on a regular basis. So I remember this one weekend we were working there, and there's this guy up front, and I did this joke about how my ex had left me in high school, and I talked about, you know, like us getting back together and why, and he's like, yeah, because she probably had some good you know. Now I'm afraid to say anything because I don't know if Shiloh's people are listening. They might be go back and like, Shiloh, he was on that podcast and he said the P word. You don't do that at church.
Would you say kitty cat? Just say kitty cat.
We don't have babies that way. We just grow them.
Oh,
We've
shit.
never had sex. Nobody's ever seen a penis at church because we're Baptist, not Catholic.
Beat me to it.
Yeah, that's really.
So, anyways, so he had a better punchline than I did. He goes, "Because she probably had good pussy," and so the whole crowd laughed, and I couldn't say anything because it was better than my punchline. So I'm sitting there laughing too, and I was gonna be like, "Well, why don't you get up and say something?" But he was really, really tall, like a Viking, and I was like, "Nah, just sit down. You're good, buddy. You go ahead and heckle all you want. You want the mic? I'll let you talk the rest of the night." I turned into a little female at that point. I'm like, "Here, you talk." So
Oh,
that was
hell.
about the only time I remember getting heckled where it was really, for the most part, heckling doesn't bother me. I can go with the crowd. I'm from a rowdy town. Probably that's the reason why my comedy is the way it is. It's unedited, it's unfiltered, because that's how I grew up. That's what the area I'm in. That's what the people I do my comedy for are people like me. We're plant workers. We talk dirty. We talk like sailors. We just downright and dirty. I mean, not in a bad way, but just like that is personality is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's easy for me to go into a room and get a heckler because I can fight back. I've been doing it
Nice.
since I was in the second grade. Everybody
Nice.
who had the better who's your mom, your mama this jokes or your mama that jokes or this or that. Some of us didn't even know our mamas or our daddies. So
Right.
it was I've never really had issues with hecklers, but that one dude did kind of scare me a little bit because he was kind of big. He was muscular and tall. Like that dude looked like a Viking. I'm gonna shut up and let him do whatever he wants.
See, now, if you were a Marine, you wouldn't have been scared.
No, I would have been scared too. I just would have lied about it. I would have
He
left
said he
back and
was
said, "Hey."
scared. Nobody said he was scared.
It's funny
I
you
would have backed
mentioned
up and been like, "Wait till my buddies get here."
See, yeah,
you
I've
mentioned
had kind of
growing
an
up
opposite
in
experience.
What's
the
that?
neighborhood and having the the mouth on you young. I had this the same kind of thing where moved into a neighborhood when I was 5, and then the next oldest kids were all middle school, so they were way older than me. My parents, this was the 70s. They go out and play. I got bullied a lot, and I wasn't going to be able to fight back, so my mouth grew to where even at a young age, I was already approaching Marine level with the mouth. Um, and I did a amateur comedy night one time. It was my one brush as a comedian, and I won $100 and some tickets to a show to be named later. I can't really remember the jokes that I was trying to tell in my 2.5, 3 minutes, whatever. But there was a guy that was heckling amateurs doing an open mic before a regional guy was coming through. Drunk already, and why would you do that? It was rattling all of them, and I was the last one to go up. And I try to get into my bit, and maybe 20 seconds in, he's piping off. And I remember just piping up, like, "Hey, sir, I'm trying to do this for a living here. I'm hoping to try and do this. I don't come to your job busting you up selling women's shoes." Just a little something like that. And the crowd, and then he piped down for just a second, and I tried to jump back in, and he popped off with something else. Buddy, solo act up here, much like your sex life. Crowd rolling. He gets mad. Why that one? I guess maybe because nobody else had popped back at him, or I hit a nerve. I don't know. But crowd rolling. I ended up winning. He got kicked out. So, I decided to quit while I was on top.
Yeah.
I do that every night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet
You
you get a
get
lot of
heckled a lot?
hecklers at
Been
your
on top.
shows.
Yeah,
I
don't
actually
think
I don't get very many. I get heckled at open mics, but I kind of invite it on myself though. But it shows very rarely do I get heckled. Of course, I'm 6'4", 230-pound guy in a biker vest. Most of the people think I'm the bouncer already. So, yeah. I'm the total mix. I'm not going to go into that. I will go into that joke. I will go into that joke. I'm the total mix of America. I got my DNA test sent off right now, so I'm gonna confirm it. But yeah, I got Native American blood and African and all the Asian blood went to my downstairs. I can live with it. Oh crap, we're live. You can't edit that out, can you? No.
Hey, I got a question. I got a question though. Brandon, do you have the green tip still?
Wait, okay, there was too many people. There was a question. What was the question?
I said, do you still have the green tip?
Green tip ammo?
Yeah. Do you remember that joke? You don't remember that joke? The Geneva Conventions? Yeah. We'll have to get back in that.
Had to be there.
No.
Yeah, you had to be there. That was the first show.
I was drinking pretty heavily during the first show. I'm sober tonight, so you're gonna have to really. Yeah,
it was the one that I put up on YouTube. One of the very first clips that I put on YouTube, and you're like, you had to do that one. I mean, I can play it if you want me to.
If you've got it and you can play it, I'll be honest with you, man.
I like he was Chris Farley bit you're doing.
Like Bill was just saying, unfortunately, I forget half of the jokes sometimes when I'm just messing around like this. I really should do better about writing them down. It'd make for a better show. But as far as hecklers, like I guess the worst heckler actually I had God, what was it? See, I'm forgetting stuff already. Happens all the time. Too many head injuries. No matter how many times I tell her no teeth, just some head injuries keep adding up.
Hey, be funny.
Well, at least your head don't look like mine. I mean, damn, I got dents. And people get upset when I don't remember somebody's name, and I'm like, dude, seriously? I'm like, seriously?
I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if you can see that scar right there.
Ooh,
yours are a little more visible, but yeah, there's another one there for you. But
well, let's see what
aiming.
Oh man, but no, I had this guy the other night. He was God, he had to have been a World War II vet, either that or from the Revolution. He was old. And, he was drinking it. He just would not shut up for anybody. But we're in a VFW. It's a small crowd. We're doing an open mic. I'm trying to invite these guys to get up on stage, much like we all did. Like, hey, come up here, just get the stories out, just have a good time. But that was a problem too, is they felt more like we were just hanging out and having a conversation. I want the room to feel like that without them actually talking back. And that's a difficult thing to do. And that's one of the things we all try to do.
Yeah. Here we go. I'm going to share this with you guys. Let's see.
I'll probably remember it as soon as you hit play.
Love giving the tip.
That's what I'm saying. So we need your tip.
Just the tip.
Just the tip.
Oh.
Just
just the tip.
Oh, you got her.
No, it's
all right, one more time.
Wait.
Sorry, I'll shut up this time.
No. It's NATO approved because it's green tipped.
International bitches.
Oh yeah, that one, the green tip.
Oh yeah, the nasty green tip. Yeah, now I remember. Yeah.
Now I remember.
I got some antibiotics since then. It's all cleared up. But thank you.
Nice. Oh, all right. Oh man, woo. That was fun. Man. Let's take a quick break and pay the bills per se, and then we'll come back and wrap up the show. So I'm gonna go here, and we're gonna drop you guys out of the show real quick. All right, so if you're in the music business locally, Louisville, or around the country, check out talenttalents.com or Louisville Local Entertainment. These guys, Rick and Chris, what they do for music venues, musicians, and what they do is they do it for free. They don't charge anybody anything. So they set up gigs, they set up venues, they promote, they do all this. They do graphics, they do everything. So check out Chris Hawks at talenttalents.com or Rick Ames at Louisville Local Entertainment. If you're in the business and you want a shirt, go to sameflagsameoath.com. Check out Matt and Becky there at sameflagsameoath.com. Their shirts are amazing. We're doing a co-branded shirt with them. I ain't got it yet. I'm waiting for that to come in the mail. And what they do is, they have their own business, and then they do co-branded stuff where they work with 501c3s from around the country, and their shirts, they're top-notch quality. My wife's got a few. Becky, her mind, dude, she's very creative, very artistic, and my wife had a shirt made for her sister, who's a paramedic. She's a captain, female, and that's very unheard of in that line of work where females make it to that rank. And so we had to celebrate her. So my wife had a hoodie made, and Becky, without knowing all the details, on the back of the one on the hoodie had a phoenix put on the back, which I believe there's some kind of medical reference where Phoenix is there. Well, my sister-in-law, my wife's sister, has a big Phoenix tattoo on her back. So it was just amazing how she did that. And so, yeah, go check out sameflagsameoath.com. Order you some shirts out there. Matt and Becky will take care of you. The shirts are awesome. Go support veteran-owned small business in Texas. And then if you're in the market for buying a house and you're a veteran, check out Veteran Mortgage Solutions. It's a whole team of veterans, and they will work with you and do what needs to be done. So definitely check out Veteran Solutions. Here we go.
Owner of Talon Talents here, and I just want to say that we are ecstatic to be a major sponsor of HomeFront Sitrep, a community that is ran by veterans and made for veterans. So thank you for tuning in. Talon Talents was formed in order to create a music scene that was together in the form of a collective, so that no one has to do everything on their own. And guess what? We've been doing this for free for over a year. So please go and check out Talon Talents through Facebook or through our official website at www.talontalents.com. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you again for tuning in to HomeFront Sitrep, a veteran-owned and operated podcast just for you.
My name's Rick Ames. I own Louisville Local Entertainment, a company for music shows, promotions, and bookings in the Louisville music scene. As a veteran, it's my honor to support and sponsor local veteran-owned businesses such as HomeFront Sitrep, made by veterans for veterans. So if you're in the music business and need some help booking or promoting a show for free, look me up, Louisville Local Entertainment. And thanks for tuning in to HomeFront Sitrep.
Gear up in style wearing Got Your Six apparel. Every purchase makes a difference. It's more than just clothing, it's a statement of gratitude. Upgrade without breaking the bank. Discover cost-effective, high-quality clothing made in the USA. Each shirt is handcrafted by our team in the great state of Texas and shipped for free to your front door. Got Your Six is where quality meets purpose. We're a small veteran-owned business that takes pride in the mission and the value of our products. Join us in growing a community, supporting our heroes, veterans, and first responders by wearing a custom design.
I thought you'd never ask.
Visit sameflagsameoath.com and use the code TRIPLETHREAT for 10% off. Follow us on all social media platforms for any upcoming releases or events, and you can reach out to us with questions anytime. We are here to support our brothers and sisters.
Hey guys, Matt Verdi here with Veteran Mortgage Solutions. As rates are dropping, home values are going to start to go up. It's time to start looking if you're looking to purchase a home. That being said, we are an all-military veteran loan officer team. We know the ins and outs of the VA home loan. We are considered the experts in this field. Give us a call today. Go to our website, veteranmortgagesolutions.com. Fill out my quick form. I'll give you $500 off towards closing costs. Have a great day.
And we're back. Yeah, like I said, if you're in the music business, check out talontalents.com or Louisville Local Entertainment. And then if you want a shirt, if you want a co-branded shirt, Matt and Becky, they have a program set up for that as well, where you can do it as a fundraiser. So check out sameflagsameoath.com, or go check out my boys at American Veteran Mortgage Solutions. Sorry, we got a little rattled there. So what do you think about Jim Carrey there in that video?
I thought it was Eric. I thought it was
No,
a young Eric. I was like, look at that. That's a young
Eric.
Eric there.
I couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah, I couldn't tell the difference. So
I'm a Jim Carrey fan.
I know. I love Jim Carrey. My wife at one time, she's like, I can't stand Jim Carrey, but I will tell you, The Mask was a friggin' funny ass movie. So, but anyway, so Shiloh and Mike, what events do you got coming up, and how can my listeners out there, if they want to come see you, how can they get in touch with you or see you at a live event?
Yeah, Mike, you want to go ahead and take that? Or do you know the next one that's coming up? I think it's May 4th, right? I think it's May 4th here in San Antonio.
Go ahead. I'll go after you. I got some other stuff coming up too, though.
Oh yeah, you got the Los Compadres too, right?
Yeah, so we have yeah, you can find me at on social media as Los Comedy Compadres on Instagram, Facebook, or you can find me at Michael Sanchez on Facebook. We got a show coming up March 9th with Eric Knowles in San Marcos. So that'd be the next show that we got coming up here recently. It's March 9th, San Marcos. Looking forward to that show. It's gonna be a good show. You can catch us if you're in that area. You can catch us there. You can also catch me on. I have a podcast on. It's a monthly podcast. It's called Smell My Bourbon.
Nice.
If you like bourbon and you like cigars, you're more than welcome to join us. It's a pretty cool, fun podcast. It's basically we talk about, we're novices, me and my buddy David Nunez, and it's basically a beginner level into bourbon and cigars.
Nice.
Every month is a new bourbon, new cigar. We match it together, and we tell you we think about it for like the first 20 minutes, and the rest of it is us just figuring out why the hell we're still married and how we have kids. So it's
Nice.
a real man's kind of show, you know. But yeah, that's it. And I know as far as Article 15 comedy coming around, we'll be in San Antonio on May 4th. And then after that, I believe there's another show coming up in Magnolia, but I don't know the exact date on that. You can go to the website, and those dates should be updated here shortly.
Awesome. Now, Shiloh, do you have any other events coming up between there that you're doing solo wise?
No, I do. Honestly, as I said, I'm still new to the comedy, so I hadn't really been setting up a lot of my own comedy stuff yet. But I opened up for Steve Trevino a couple of weeks ago. We did, basically 5 shows in 4 days, and we went from Montana to Utah it was like this bam, bam, bam trip, and it was so cool, man. It was great. And Steve Trevino's actually been a really good coach for me as well. In fact, he's not the first show that I had done, but I did a presentation for the Purple Heart Project here in Bernie. And anyway, Steve happened to be in the audience. And I just did my normal thing, like I said, my motivational speaking.
Right.
And in that, I have some highs and lows, and I have some funnies and stuff. And anyway, afterwards, he goes, dude, he said, you're funny, man. He said, how would you like to open for me in New York? And I was like, open for you? And I was like, dude, I'm not a comedian, right? And he goes, you sound funny to me. He said, let's try it out. And anyway, so the first few shows went really well. And I'll tell you this, though, and it's true, man. The very last show, I bombed on it. And for one, I think I was overthinking it. But, I'm a motivational speaker. And, a lot of the venues that I get paid, I get paid quite a bit of money for, my shows.
Right.
Although I didn't talk about it with Steve, going out there. I was okay with just going out there because I wanted the experience. And anyway, right before the last set, he was like, all right, let's talk about the finances here. And he said, so you been here for 3 days and blah, blah, blah. And he said, you're going to take about $400 home. And
Nice.
I was like, $400 for how many days? And I was like, it kind of blew my mind. And I think he could see the shock on my face. And he goes, so just so you know, it's not a lot of money starting out. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I was like, I'm okay with that. But I'm sitting there and I was kind of bummed because I didn't know I could bring products.
Right.
And I had swag, I had this stuff, that I have with my motivational speaking stuff, but I didn't know anything about the comedy world.
Right.
And so, I kind of felt I had like all these things going on in my head, like, okay, so you don't get a lot this way, but you get this, and I'm trying to figure it out in my head to get up there and do that last set. And dude, it was like a total bomb, and I'm overthinking everything. And anyway, and then on top of that, I got like nervous and I was sweating. And anyway, Steve was like, he's a burn survivor. Let's get him a cold rag. But I did learn something though. As I kind of pushed it pretty hard that weekend,
Yeah.
and I am disabled. I mean,
Right,
like,
right.
so I got to take that into account a lot of times. Sometimes I'll just get to going, man. But this is me really coming back after COVID. I lost a lot of work, but then I took it as an opportunity to go back to school. But yeah, anything that's coming up, usually I put it out on social media. And but yeah, Shiloh Harris, it's all the way around. I got a website, ShilohHarris.com. You can buy the merchandise there too if anybody's shopping. But I got some shirts. But the biggest thing is, when I came out with the book, I didn't even want to be an author. I didn't think. But it was like one thing led to another, and here I am. I think I got a great book. I've been able to work with great people like Mike and Eric, and now I'm really happy to meet you, Brandon. Thank you so much, man, for your back and forth tonight, man. I had a lot of fun with you guys, and Willis and Bill, man, you guys are great, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate y'all having me on the show and letting us share about Article 15 and about what we do individually.
No, man, we definitely appreciate you coming on here and spending this hour and a half, 2 hours with us, and just having good banter, because that's what it's all about. Getting that good joke in, getting that good laugh. That's what it's all about. And somebody said it earlier on in the show that it's almost the best form of healing. Sometimes when laughter is a very good conduit in healing the soul. So yeah, definitely thank you for coming on and hanging out with us, Brandon. What do you got coming up, sir?
Well, again, I do everything backwards, so I'm going from comedy, and I'm about to try and get into motivational speaking.
Well, let's talk.
I do actually, Charlotte. I was going to tell you, I do want to talk with you because, since this accident, I've had a lot of personal reflection and a lot of. I had to face a lot of demons and other things that I've been putting off, and so I'm actually in the process of taking those thoughts and putting them into a book. And I would very much love to connect with you and kind of pick your brain, maybe even a little more than the doctors did. And
not much left, bro. There's not much left to work with.
Hey, you're telling me, man. You're telling me. Hey, at least we're still pretty. So.
Yeah, I'm right.
But as far as comedy, I've kind of I've told everybody I'm kind of backing off for the time being for right now. I've got some personal things I'm trying to focus on. I did start, like I said, back up doing my monthly open mics here locally in Charleston. So if anybody's in the Charleston area and you want to come out to VFW and tell some jokes or tell a story or just shoot the shit, come on by. So I'll put it out on my Instagram, Facebook. I also have a website, ofpcomedy.com.
Right there.
Yep.
ofpcomedy.com.
I'm gonna take a picture of that.
Go ahead. It's right there. Right.
Yeah, I got it, man. I get it. Oh shit! Wait. Listen, when we were in training in Graffinsville one time, that just reminded me. There was this guy. He's and I'm just gonna say it, man. He might have ate crayons. He wasn't a Marine. I'm just saying he might have ate crayons just because he's a little like that. But anyway, so he's out there and he's set up in an OP. And anyway, so he's calling back to us, and we don't know where in the hell he's at. We're like, dude, you got to give us your grid. You got to give us your grid. And he goes, I can't, but I can tell you this. Red air is right above me right now. And dude, we're all like, what? Red air? Dude, we don't even see a helicopter. We're like, oh my God, this dude is lost. So sorry, you said that. And I was like, I don't know why, but I just had that flashback all the way back to him going, it's right there. Like, it's right above me, like I can see it.
Yeah, Shiloh, I really wish you wouldn't tell my story like that.
Oh, I love it.
No, man, that's what in 05 I did OPs and I also did route clearance missions. So like I said, your story kind of hit me. I'm like, fuck, I didn't do my job. But I mean, but for real though, believe me, I knew guys that absolutely would do that. Like, we don't know what the grid is. Our map isn't the right map. Like, we were in Iraq, they got a map of Afghanistan on the OP. I'm like, I get it. We were augmenting the Army, by the way, so it was Army maps. It wasn't Marine Corps maps. But
oh man.
But I get it. But yeah, definitely, I definitely want to get together after the show. And again, hey Willis, I appreciate you having me on again, man. I love this.
You're welcome.
Love what you're doing, Bill. Good to meet you, sir. Thank you very much. Be careful with Willis looking at the back of your head.
Hey now. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna put you guys behind studio, and then when we end the stream, I'll let you guys talk real quick, and y'all can share your information and stuff. That way you guys can connect, and then
don't tell me what to do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, cool beans. Hold on, dude. How cool was that?
That was a good time.
Yeah, it was. I mean, when I had Brandon on the first time, I knew how funny this guy was, because I mean, he was stupid hilarious. We laughed the whole time that we were on the first podcast with him. And
I remember listening. I was listening to that one, and earbud in my ear, working outdoors by myself.
Yeah,
and, laughing out loud, and then doing somebody looking around, looking at this idiot.
Oh, dude, it was so friggin' hilarious. And then I got to see, Article 15 when I was watching Triple Threat Vets podcast and see how funny they were. And I was like, all right, I need to have these guys on. But I waited a little while because, we share guests between the podcast, the collective that we got. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna wait a little while and bring them on, because that way it's kind of fresh again, So and they didn't disappoint. Eric didn't disappoint, Shiloh didn't, Mike didn't, Brandon didn't either. And the whole purpose of this podcast is to get the information out there and connect people together. So like right now we're connecting Brandon and Shiloh and Mike together, and Eric with that. And then, maybe they can do something, and hopefully we can bring Jamie Utley into the mix as well, because he's freaking hilarious as well. And bring all these comedians together and start something beautiful, because I think it can be done that way. And if we work together as veterans, if we work together, and we could solve a lot of issues if we work together. So like I always say, guys, stay safe out there. And I got your 6. And then also ask that next hard question. I don't want to forget that, because this is something that is needed to be said. If you go up to a veteran, so I go up to Bill tomorrow at work and say, hey, Bill, how you doing? And Bill's going to look at me. He goes, I'm fine. But I'm going to look in his eyes, and I know something's wrong. And I'm going to look at him again. I'm going to say, Bill, how are you really doing? 99% of the time, Bill is going to open up and say, hey, man, this is what I got going on. And, we sit there and chit chat about it and see if we can work through, whatever issue and stuff like that. So always ask that next hard question. So definitely, check on your brothers, check on your sisters, and see what's going on there. Thank you, Carol Lee, for joining and hanging out. And if you want any of these guys on, just let me know, and we'll go from there. But I'm gonna, go ahead and end the show and say, like I always say, stay safe out there, and I got your 6. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget, you can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your 6.